Hey everybody, welcome back to the Darin Show. Something a little different this week. Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Now I don't mean different as in like different style of music because I'm all over the place. I've done the Smiths, the Rolling Stones, Taylor Swift, U2, the Eagles, Juliet and the Licks, which this sounds a lot like Juliet and the Licks, by the way, so look for that review on my channel. But this is Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about one song on this album, maybe two songs on this album, and then a little personal story about Joan Jett. Joan Jett in my life. She was a big part of my life. It was a big deal. I'm overselling it. Okay, this first song, we'll get to that in a minute. Really catchy, upbeat, straightforward rock and roll song to start off the album. The drums might sound familiar. Why is that? It's Dave Grohl. Speaking of which, I referenced my Juliet and the Licks album review. Dave Grohl plays drums on that. Dave Grohl doesn't play drums on this whole album. This is a short and sweet 10-song album. But he does play all the instruments on track 1, Any Weather. How this came together was Joan Jett and the Blackhearts were touring with the Foo Fighters, and she always had kind of wanted to write with Dave. She went to his studio, Studio 606. This is the 606 version. And she had a little melody and a little piece of the song, Any Weather. We Stay Together in Any Weather. Played it for him. Played a little rhythm guitar. And he played drums. He laid down a drum track. Then he took that, re-recorded rhythm, lead guitar, all instrumentation, did some background vocals. She took that, wrote the rest of the lyrics, put down the vocal on top of it. So it's essentially like a Dave Grohl, Joan Jett mashup collaboration. Joan Jett's not breaking any new ground with this album. This is the first album that she had that charted, though, since 1990's The Hit List. And The Hit List was an album she did of all cover songs. And she had a couple of singles that hit off of that. But as far as Joan Jett and the Blackhearts album with new material, 2013, it charted, did pretty well. That's great. Since 2013, they have released one acoustic album. I think it's called Change Up. Change Up. Acoustic album in 2022, and then they did a 6-song EP a couple years later in 2024. But this is basically the last Joan Jett and the Blackhearts straight ahead rock and roll album. And if you know Joan Jett, this is Joan Jett music. 10 straight ahead rock songs. I don't find any ballads or anything. She hasn't really advanced, let's say, or maybe it's just that she's decided not to change her style. I don't want to diss Joan Jett, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Track 2 here is TMI, and my personal story is coming up, I promise you, in just a minute. I heard about this in an interview with Rolling Stone. She was talking about this song, TMI, and how social media has just changed the landscape. And even before social media, though, people didn't know a lot about Joan's personal life, and she said that was on purpose because it's great to share when good things happen to you, but then when bad things happen, people expect that same openness, and you might not want to talk about some things that happen to you, or you might not want to deal with them or necessarily share them with everybody. So the trade-off is you don't share the good stuff, you don't share the bad stuff. She said when she was younger, journalists always wanted to ask her about her sexuality, let's say, or things that happened, in the 70s. And she's like, I just want to talk about the music. Let's talk about the music. If you want to discuss my music, listen to my music, that's great. But that's what I do. I'm a rock and roll guitarist and singer, leader of the Joan Jett and the Blackhearts band. And there should be enough there for you to talk about, and you don't have to ask me questions about my personal life. So she did the song TMI, Too Much Information. TMI, too much info, TMI, 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 too much info, TMI. So I only really want to talk about those two songs. if you like Joan Jett, if you like rock and roll, give it a listen. I don't know that it's something that I would need in my CD collection. There's no big, huge Joan Jett hits on this one for me, anyway. Hate Myself for Loving You, Do You Want to Touch Me, none of that kind of stuff, Victim of Circumstance. So she's had a lot of success with cover songs. In fact, in 1996, she did a cover of Love Is All Around, the Mary Tyler Moore theme song, and that was kind of a sleeper hit because it wasn't released on any album or anything, and radio started playing it. And then she released Dirty Deeds and Love Hurts as cover songs on the album in 1990, The Hits. Let me tell you my personal Joan Jett story real quick. So you ever have anybody ask you that question, what was the first concert you ever went to? And my answer always gets to be Joan Jett and the Blackhearts for their I Love Rock and Roll tour. That I Love Rock and Roll, Put Another Dime in the Jukebox, baby, that was huge. And I was in like 9th grade, I think. So not going to concerts by myself or with friends, of course. I had been to a couple of concerts, maybe at like a Worlds of Fun, the amusement park kind of thing. I don't count those. I think I saw Rick Springfield, maybe Air Supply. But to go to a venue where you're specifically going for the concert, not ride some rides, do some stuff, and then, hey, let's move over to the amphitheater and listen to Rick Springfield or Eddie Rabbitt. I saw Eddie Rabbitt at the Worlds of Fun Amphitheater also as a kid. But this is my first actual concert, Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. And I remember, the radio station guy comes out and he's like, are you ready to have a good time? Are you ready? And I was like, wow, And it was a $2 concert because we had a radio station in town called KY102, and they would sponsor these $2 concerts. And it was mainly for up-and-coming newer artists and stuff. And she was, of course, just coming out. At that time, I didn't know she was in the Runaways or anything. I didn't know anything about Joan Jett. It was Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, I Love Rock and Roll. And then I got that album, of course. I think a lot of people got that album. Crimson and Clover was another one she did. Man, she's done a lot of cover songs. I Love Rock and Roll is actually a cover song. But anyway, I went to this concert with a friend of mine and his mom, okay? She drove us there. We go, we sit down, and we're chilling out pre-concert and just, we're digging the whole, vibe and everybody's. His mom gets up and goes to the bathroom, and he and I are sitting there, a couple of 9th graders. What was I, like 14, 15 years old, whatever it was. And, I'm smelling marijuana for the first time, I'll tell you that. But somebody from behind us, this bottle of Jack Daniels just comes between me and my friends. Like this guy just hands it. And we look back and he's just like, here, like just offering up or whatever. And we're just like, no, thank you. So my friend Steve's mom comes back from the bathroom. And of course we're like, oh my God, that guy. Well, she had brought some snacks. And she had a bag of Oreo cookies. So she was real cool, And we're sitting there, chilling a little bit. She gets her bag of Oreos out and reaches back, and offers the Jack Daniels guy a couple of Oreos, and he and like 3 or 4 of his friends, they take Oreos and they're like, hey, cool, you guys are cool, And then he tried to like hand Steve's mom a joint after that, and she was like, no, thank you. So we had our cookies and, I don't know, sodas, Pepsi, whatever, but people behind us, which by the way, how do you get a bottle of Jack Daniels into a concert venue? I don't know. It's the early 80s. Whatever. But that's what happened. So that's my story. Joan Jett and the Blackhearts was my first concert. And now I want to tell you, go ahead and check out. I wouldn't purchase this maybe, but you can stream it online on the YouTube. I got my copy at the library, as I always do. 10 straight ahead rockers. I mean, it's drums, it's guitar, it's Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Be as bad as we can be. That was track 8, Bad As We Can Be. Sounds good. That's straight up Joan Jett. Hey, thanks for watching The Darin Show. Come back every week. I've got a review every Saturday. It's music related, whether it's a book, a DVD, an album, a concert film. Every Saturday, come back for reviews. Usually I'm also releasing cover songs on Wednesdays, original songs on Fridays. Thursdays just kind of a miscellaneous. I was a DJ for a while, did some DJ work for some sports teams. I'll probably release some of those, videos from that, videos from touring my music room, whatever. And I also have my songwriting journey videos, so watch for those. We're going to go through chapter to chapter. I've got songs. I've been writing songs since 5th grade, and not a lot back then, and not very good, but eventually I wrote a lot more. So watch out for my songwriter journeys. And this is The Darin Show on the YouTube. And this was Joan Jett and the Blackhearts.